Okay. An error occurred with your guests.
Oh.
Which guest? It doesn't tell me.
Well, I think I'm having trouble going live. It might be me. Oh, I got this weird message.
An error occurred with your guest's destination. We informed them so they can fix it.
Doesn't say. It's not saying anything to me.
No, it's saying something to me. So I don't know. Do I just exit out? I don't know. I don't want to.
It's your fault, Elisa.
It's all my fault.
Do you have two destinations or just one?
One. I'm just going to remove it to keep it simple for now. So.
We'll figure it out later.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that should be okay now. You could see.
Also, where are we? Okay, well, wait a minute. I know where I'm broadcasting to. Okay, I'm just trying to get the shareable link to put it in my Telegram. So don't worry about it. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know if we're live here.
We are live.
We're
live.
Oh, it does say we're live.
So welcome.
All right, let me see here. YouTube, you're live here, and I am live on. Okay, it says you're live. We're live, guys.
Awesome. Hi.
Okay, here we go.
We already have comments. So.
Well, guys, it is our show called the Fourcast, the number 4, CAST, every Monday coming at you live at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard. Yes, we're running behind schedule. It is what it is. It's live television run by a bunch of ragtag wannabe podcasters, wannabe newscasters.
Ragtag fugitive fleet of patriots.
Guys, man, there is so much stuff in the news again, and it doesn't slow down any time. It just keeps going faster and faster. I don't know if it's me, but I feel like I'm always waking up and I'm going 100 miles an hour faster than the previous day, and then the next day it's another 100 miles, and it doesn't stop. It's just endless. I mean, there's so much stuff that's going on right now. We got a video that's queued up that we're going to watch here shortly that I think will be worth probably going into. Lisa, do you want to start with that?
Yeah, sure. So I found this great podcast. I don't know if anybody follows Santa Surfing. I've been following her for a long time. She's got some great content, but this particular video, she actually took a deep dive into what's going on right now with the Doge, looking into the IRS and the Fed and those audits that we're looking to happen soon. So this is actually, she is going to show that she's showing these interviews that are happening with the former, one of the former Ben Bernanke of the Fed, and then it goes into another one with Powell, and you'll see like just how corrupt they're basically talking about, how they just print money out of thin air. And so just watch it. And I definitely encourage you to watch the whole thing. I'd love for us to put it in the description box, but this is a little segment of it.
Perfect. Okay, so you queued that up perfectly. Just give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear the sound on your end. It's important. Here we go.
And I did play this last week, but I wanted to play it again because it ties in with many other things that I'm going to be talking about on my podcast. This right here is a perfect example of, you have these criminals, a criminal on Congress that's questioning or going through a hearing process with a criminal that's being questioned. Okay, so they definitely don't want to expose each other. Ben Bernanke is probably sitting there talking to one of the criminal people in Congress during this hearing, thinking, I got dirt on you, and they're thinking, I got dirt on you, but are they going to even expose it or even follow through? Because all along, we always looked at these hearings as just a waste of time, waste of taxpayer dollars. But was President Trump doing these hearings during the time of his first presidency, and even during the 4 years, there wasn't a whole lot under the bumblehead Biden, where is he using all of that against all of these dirty people? Check this out.
The money to financial institutions in Europe and other countries.
Which ones?
I don't know.
$500 billion, and you don't know who got the money?
The loans go to the central banks, and they then put them out to their institutions to try to bring down short-term interest rates in dollar markets around the world.
Well, let's start with which central banks got the money.
There are 14 of them, which are listed I'm sure they're listed in here somewhere.
All right. So who actually made that decision to hand out $1 trillion that way? $500 billion. Who made that decision?
The Federal Open Market Committee,
Okay. And was it done at one time or in a series of
a
meetings?
series of meetings.
And under what legal authority?
We have a longstanding legal authority to do swaps with other central banks.
Do you
It's not,
happen to
it's
know
not an
anything-
emergency. It's not an emergency authority of any kind.
anything specific about it?
Do you know my counsel says Section 14 of the Federal Reserve Act.
There is no, it's not federal and there is no reserve, but they were just printing money. Now listen to this. On February 8th, Wall Street Apes posted this. Elon Musk supports Ron Paul leading the audit of the Federal Reserve. Jerome Powell, chairman of the Federal Reserve, openly admitted to flooding our system with money they create out of thin air. Listen to this.
Simply flooded the system with money.
Yes, we did. That's another way to think about it. We did.
Where does it come from? Do you just print it?
We print it digitally. So we, as a central bank, we have the ability to create money digitally. And we do that by buying treasury bills or bonds or other government guaranteed securities. And that actually increases the money supply. We also print actual currency and we distribute that through the Federal Reserve banks.
Simply flooded the system with money.
Yes, we did.
What a bunch of crooks. Print the money out of thin air, causes high inflation, and then it decreases the value of the dollar, and then it puts us further in debt. Doge IRS audit is happening now. So you got the Federal Reserve getting audited, and at the same time, simultaneously, the IRS is getting audited. And as I announced in my last podcast, 15,000 employees, IRS employees, this news just broke today, February 16th, 15,000 IRS employees are getting the big old kibosh, their pink slips, goodbye, bye-bye, go home. Doge right here, the IRS begins. This is where it's beginning to scare a lot of the bigger names. There's a few videos here about how IRS is a fraud. I just am going to go ahead and just kind of give you an example. This one right here is an IRS agent confirms there is no income tax law. This is posted by Secret Blue 10.
There is no law. And to date, nobody has been able to show that there is a law for the average American citizen working day in and day out to pay an income tax.
We the People Foundation for Constitutional Education put a full-page ad in the USA Today on July 7th, 2000. And within the body of that ad was a $50,000 challenge for anyone that could show the law. And to me, $50,000 is a lot of money. So I went after that and did the research based on the fact that I thought, let's put this baby to bed. I'm hearing all these rumors. I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. I'll answer these people's questions that are asking me, and then I'll win this $50,000. And, based on the research that I did throughout the year 2000 and that I'm still doing, I have not found that law. I've asked Congress, we've asked a lot of people in the IRS commissioners, helpers. They can't answer because if they answer, the American people are going to know that this whole thing is a fraud. They can't answer because if they answer, the American people are going to know that this.
Well, I don't know how much more clear that we can get it to the American people. You've been scammed. I've been scammed. Me probably less than all of you. Listen, they owe us some money, and I'm afraid that I'm probably going to get the least out of all you guys because I paid that in the least that I could possibly. Because I realized 37 years ago this is a scam. You know what I mean? I'm a Brooklyn boy. I'm a New Jersey boy. I know when I'm being scammed, and I'm going to fight you back. This is crazy. How did you find this clip? Because I've seen these clips in other places. I love the way she laid it out. It's perfect.
Yeah. And let's not forget something else. I just kind of want to add to that. Like what we're seeing right now, and Mel, you've been really outspoken about this whole idea of, what you believe Doge really stands for, right? Mm-hmm. Department of Jassara. Okay. So, let's not forget last month in January, we also had, I think it was HR 25, which was brought and introduced by Representative Earl L. Buddy Carter, the fair tax law. So you have all these things happening at once. Everything's coming out. So for people who are not getting it and they're not seeing it, I don't know what more it's going to take to realize that all these things are intersecting at the same time, and it's all saying the same thing. No more income tax and goodbye to the Fed and the IRS.
Absolutely. Did you like the video I sent you guys this morning? The video of the lady with the chemtrails.
Yeah.
What did you think of that? Maybe we could play that if I could figure out how to find that. Did you get a chance to see that, Victoria?
I have been working from sunrise to sunset. I haven't had a chance to look at anything.
Oh, you're in for a
Yeah.
treat, Friday.
Well,
I
Steve,
can't figure out how to.
Mel, before we move on to the next thing, let's go back over what this last video was, because it's really important. They don't print money out of nothing. They do not. They print money out of your birth certificate bond, which is actually does have value. You as a human being have value. You're assigned a value at birth, and then everyone who's born in your birth year is put into a mutual fund, which is actually on the markets and increases in value as the years go by, as your productivity as a human being goes forward. So in other words, when you're probably 40, if you're a male, you're probably worth the most you're ever going to be. And then as time goes on and you're 65 and you're receiving Social Security and you're not quite as productive in the economy, your value goes down. But, at one point I was able to check my birth certificate bond. It used to be on Fidelity Investments. You used to be able to do a mutual fund search, and I just typed in 1960, my birth year, right? $11 billion. Now that $11 billion value is spread out over the 10 Federal Reserve districts. And actually you can find out what your account number is by simply asking, go to the Social Security website and keep asking for a new Social Security card. Oh, I lost my last one. And they will send you 10 of them. And on the back, there will be at least one letter. Sometimes there's additional letters now to try to confuse things. But the letter that's closest to the 9 numbers, the letter is going to be the designation of the Federal Reserve Bank, like E stands for the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. The 9 numbers are your account number there. And that's what they print the money out of. And they print it, that serial number is on dollar bills and $100 bills and $50 bills that they print, because they actually can't print it out of nothing, because they don't have anything. They don't actually have any money. The central banks cannot create money. They can print money out of your accounts at their bank. That's how they do it. So that's what that was what Jerome Powell, I guess, was trying to avoid saying when they asked him, well, where does the money come from? Well, we're a central bank, and the central bank cannot create money. The money is created by you when you sign any kind of financial document, an application for a home loan, an application for a credit card, an application for a new car, or you write a check. Those instruments are taken back to the Federal Reserve, and 10 times the amount of money that's on that financial instrument is then created in the Federal Reserve Bank in all 10 locations, right? It's passed around to all 10. If I write a check for $1,000, each one of the 10 Federal Reserve banks gets $10,000 that they can now loan out. And, people don't know this. And this is the thing. Even when we go through this financial transition, they're not going to tell you guys that this is how money really was and is created, because what it means is each and every one of you are billionaires and always have been, and they have defrauded you and conned you into thinking that you don't have any money and you have to beg them for money because they have all the money. So that's the big crime. And the thing is, the reason they're not going to tell people that is because there still has to be some form of government and some semblance of an economy. If we're all billionaires, who's going to dig the ditches, right? It's the same old thing. So they're not going to let that out. Even the people we think of as the good guys are not going to let this information out. They're going to suppress it, or they're going to say, hey, could you please not talk about it? I mean, we just did this currency exchange thing for you, and you got a really nice house in Malibu. Maybe you could just shut up. That's how they're going to do it.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, except on one thing. They've had the technology to dig the ditches for eons. They haven't needed us to dig ditches or do farming or grow the corn and the tomatoes and potatoes and all that bullshit for a long, long time. Contrary to popular belief, 7,000 patents, 6,000 patents, however many there are, there's got to be a lot of them that are med beds. A lot of them are farming equipment. A lot of them are
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
A
just
lot
saying
of
there's
them are
8
flying
billion of
cars, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So now we've all come together because we realize we've been scammed, and we're sort of trying to put the puzzle back together so that it makes sense, not just for us, but the entire world to see. And we're pulling back the curtain, and the emperor has no clothes.
Right.
That's where we're at now.
So what they're going to do is, first of all, there's 8 billion of us on the planet, right? They have to give us something to do to be productive with our lives, because a lot of people, especially the current young generation, they're just going to sit around and do VR and play video games and smoke weed, unless you give them a motivation to go out and be productive and contribute to society. I mean, I'm afraid that's human nature, right? So that's part of the reason why they still want us to dig the ditches and don't release the technology.
But
the other thing,
finish, please.
Well, I was going to say, when they pay us back, they are going to look at, okay, Mike, you've borrowed on credit cards and car loans and home loans. Let's say it's $1 million in your lifetime. Okay, so you're going to get that $1 million back times 10. Now, and I know, in reality, I'm worth billions upon billions of dollars, right? And under this current fiat currency system, but they're pretty sure that I'm going to be real happy with getting my $10 million, right? And that's going to be the end of me making any trouble about it. And honestly, they're probably right about that. So, I think that the thing is that there are people, it's kind of like the moon landings, right? There's people understand there's something wrong. What they think is what's wrong is that they faked it. That's not what's wrong. What's wrong is why they really went there and what they were really doing when the camera wasn't on the astronauts, which is picking up ancient alien technology to bring it back home to reverse engineer it. That's what they were doing. Same thing here. They want you to think, oh, they just printed money out of nothing. That's not true. They actually printed it out of your bank accounts that you should have a birthright to. So... But they don't want that to come out. And, if the right person pulls me aside and asks me to stop talking about it, I probably will. But not until, we have some major.
Well, there was a plan. There was a plan to allow the technology to thrive, to allow technology to do all the back-breaking work. There was a plan to make everybody in America multi-millionaires, multi-50 millionaires, multi-100 millionaires, multi-billionaires. This is going to be known as the land of the multi-gazillionaires right here in the United States of America. And then the bankers said, wait a minute, let's hold the technology back. Let's take over their monetary system. And here we are. So it's happening now. It's happening late, but it's happening right now. Nasara is very real. You could call it department of, they're not going to give you, Mike, any credit. I know you're a big component of Nasara. I know that Victoria is, and I'm sure that Saint Germain has a lot to do with Nasara and Elisa. We're all on the same page. It's just that, they have to come up with another acronym that makes sense. And yes, it makes sense, but when you compare it to our document, which lives at QFS1776.com, there's no denying that that's what it is.
They're doing literally everything that's on the Nasara paperwork. They're doing it. And this whole thing, Elon today proposed, well, why don't we just get a live stream and walk right through Fort Knox and see where all the gold is? And of course, there's either it's going to be so much gold we can't even imagine how much is in there, or it's going to be none, as we've heard for years, that it was all given off to the foreign creditors in the United States back in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. And so, that, and, when they broke into the IRS today, they got into the IRS. That's going to expose that the IRS is not a government agency. It's a foreign corporation, and they've been taking our tax dollars that they've collected and sending it back to the Rothschilds Bank of France and the Warburg Pincus in Germany and the Crown of England, for hundreds of years since we went into international bankruptcy in 1789. And it's going to open such a can of worms. It's really a question of what are they not going to tell us versus what are they going to tell us? So.
And Mike, the other thing too is that in addition to all of that being true, like the what part of it, it's also the part that people have been put in this state of fear for how long? And this wasn't even a law. This wasn't even legal. So people have just been hoodwinked from every angle. But you're right. If you give people 10 million or 6, like, even though there's so much more that they're worth, you're right. People generally, and I'm not judging that. I'm just saying that's how they're going to quell everybody to just say, now you have a nice life. You don't have to work so hard. You can enjoy yourself, enjoy your family. But the truth of the matter is, for those of us who really know where the hoodwinking was going on and still is going on, it's angering.
Yeah. And I mean,
we got to create the Quantum Summit. I don't need a Quantum Summit because when you really compare the Quantum Summit, even if I was to make a profit, because at this point I'm not making a profit, okay? I'm actually going to lose money unless, I get 1,999 people join us.
Come on. Buy tickets, folks. Get to the Quantum Summit. It's going to be epic.
Yeah, but anyway, the Quantum Summit, it's like, okay, let's say I made $25,000 profit. And compared to what I'm going to be worth, that's like saying Mel just made 2.5 pennies.
Yeah.
Exactly. I need a Quantum Summit like I need a effing hole in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, but we have to wake up the people. This is not about making money. This is about waking the people up. Okay.
And, given that it's at Cape Canaveral, not far from Mar-a-Lago, it's about communicating to the right people who are going to be there. And, they're going to be there in the background.
Absolutely.
What our perspective is on what they really need to be doing, because I don't buy that there's some perfect master plan that these, elites have all figured out. I mean, the scary thing is when I was working with Richard Hoagland on NASA stuff, we would have these conversations and he'd say stuff to me like, what if they don't know, Mike? What if they're using us to try to figure out what this is because they don't know what it is? And that's true. The people that you think are elite are not as smart as you think they are. And so, it's an opportunity to speak to them and get some truth out there.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Mike's going to be on stage on probably a few panels wherever we could see fit that he'll fit with and I got to go through that list, girls, and I'm going to make sure I'll tell you, okay, these guys are going to be talking about this.
You got to let me do my secret history, financial history of the U.S. too. You got to let me do that. I did with Elise. We got to do that one.
You will do that.
Half hour.
Yeah, and you'll be on several panels. Elisa and Victoria are going to be the MCs for the event in case they need a little bit of a break. We have other MCs that could fit in, like my good friend Brian, potentially Jeff and Chip from Live on the Chain, which is a great show, which is XRP. So in case you have to go man your table, Elisa, like you said the other day, there's your really say, hey, Chip, can you do me a favor? Here's the cue card. Go up there, MC for me. I got to go sell some, brochures, whatever, no big deal. Victoria, please chime in.
I have just been listening. And what's interesting, Mike, is that you really explained to me the question that I've had for years, which is how is it that our economy is a debt-based economy?
Mm-hmm.
And now it makes sense. I didn't quite understand that. I knew about fiat money and that it was a debt-based economy, but I didn't quite understand how every time we apply for a credit card, that actually allows the feds to borrow against the application. That's what it sounds like, which is really
there are you've heard the expression sign on the dotted line, right?
Yeah.
And the reason it says that, if you were to take your checkbook and scan it at super high resolution, the line where you sign, it says authorized signature, over and that's why it's the dotted line, because it looks like little dots.
Got it.
Meaning that because money in a spiritual sense, and this is all spiritual, believe it or not, can only be created by a living, breathing person. So only the person that moves that pen into motion.
Oh, is he there?
God's laws or something that they follow. And so there's actually documents that I have somewhere on my hard drive where under testimony, one of the directors of Federal Reserve testifying in like the 80s or 90s said, yeah, actually money's created by the signature of the individual. So every time you sign something that's got financial instrument, bam, that money is created and goes into the system, and you don't get hardly any of it. And then with a mortgage, of course, they defraud you. If you look at your mortgage, there's probably a note in there, almost certainly a note in there that says, I understand I'm giving the bank or whoever the lender is an interest in a property that I already own. That's why on the documents they call you the homeowner when you haven't paid it off yet, because you did buy it with your money out of your Federal Reserve account, and they've defrauded you into thinking you have to pay them back with interest over 30 years.
So essentially, Mike, when you go to get a mortgage, they're taking that money from whatever this account or trust that you have.
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
my house.
paid.
Yeah.
And it's paid. And then you're now paying it back with interest, which you're paying interest for how many
they
years?
create a separate loan for you. You have to pay them back, and they trick you into thinking that they're the ones that gave you the money when the money actually came from your own account at the Federal Reserve.
Oh my God.
And isn't that the same thing with tax? Like I was listening to a podcast today where like we buy something and it's taxed. And then if you sell it, it's taxed. Like how many times is something that you purchase being taxed?
4 or 5 times.
At least.
And then,
every time it sells.
Yeah, and then if you die and your son inherits it, that can be subject to tax now too, right? So if it has value.
So the whole thing is a scam. Everything is a scam. You sent your kids to be brainwashed. You went to school. You pay taxes into a system from an illegal mafia organization that's registered in Puerto Rico, has nothing to do with the federal government, and you're paying into that system to teach your kids how to be brainwashed so that they could serve the system that is not your system, it's their system.
Right.
The house of cards is coming down.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, including other hundreds of thousands of podcasters, we're showing up with our gasoline, making sure that, and when it comes down, we're going to burn it away completely down into nothingness. You understand?
Yeah, and you know, when this system was created in the 1930s, it was intended that you would be able to create unlimited credit. That they took away your allodial title, your right to use gold and silver, real money, to buy a property and hold it in perpetuity forever. Forever, that's your property. They took that away, but in return, you were supposed to get the right to create unlimited credit, and you did. They just didn't tell you that part. They deceived you, or they changed their minds and decided, oh hell, we can't give this toothless crackhead from Oklahoma in the Dust Bowl there. We can't give him unlimited credit, unlimited funds. What's he going to do with it? So, you know, this is when the elites, the real theft was the New Deal. It was the New Deal, which again, Mel, goes back to you know, other items in the news this week. You know, with Doge going into all these agencies, and there's these people, a couple of ladies on Facebook that, oh, you know, I was a law clerk for a Supreme Court justice. She won't say who, but I don't know if I believe that. But you know, and I know the law, and you can't do this to these agencies, and they don't understand all of these government agencies: FBI, CIA, Department of Energy, Department of Agriculture, all the New Deal, Tennessee Valley Authority. All the New Deal agencies only exist because of the fact that the United States is in a perpetual state of emergency since FDR signed it into law, which gives the executive branch extraordinary powers, Lincoln-esque powers during the Civil War, to do damn near anything he wants. So all Trump has to do, if he decides to do it, is terminate all the states of emergency. And guess what? All those agencies, they're extra constitutional already, instantly just become legally, they disappear overnight. So, you know, there's so many things they've lied to us about. It's off scale high. It's crazy. It's an old industry.
Yeah. So how do we go back and tell them the truth, and how long is it going to take, and who do we hire to tell the truth? Are we the only truth tellers out here, or are we going to have to bring in some people that really know how to tell the truth, like my buddy Alviar, the movie producer? What's his name?
Nick Alviar.
Nick Alviar. Did you guys watch that movie, The Greatest Show on Earth Part 2?
No.
Oh,
I had seen it like as soon as it came out, and I saw part 1. What was that, like a year ago or so? So
yes.
I've seen it multiple times and sent it to multiple people already. It's really well done. If you guys didn't have a chance, he goes.
Well, you want a good movie too about that, Jupiter Ascending with Mila Kunis. It's not a very good movie, but it was produced by Steve Mnuchin. Guess who he is? The former treasurer under Trump.
Right.
That whole thing is a metaphor for not only the adrenochrome, but for the financial system. It's all, they're telling you right there, this is how we control the world. It's right in front of your face. So amazing stuff.
Yeah, well, I spoke to Nick Alviar. We spent an hour on the phone just day before yesterday, and what a conversation that was. And I started throwing at him, hey, it's not DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, it's DOGE. And I'm throwing him all these little tidbits. He goes, Mel, I never thought we would make a Greatest Show on Earth Part 3, but I want you to work with me and make the Greatest Show on Earth Part 3. So it's wild how universe works. But I want Victoria to chime in. She's been the quietest out of all of us today, and she's very boisterous.
No, I'm enjoying the conversation because it's helping me understand part of the financial industry that I haven't really understood. That I was explaining to someone, I think yesterday, that our mortgages were illegal, but I didn't, because I get my information from up here.
Right.
I don't see what's happening here. I download everything, and that our mortgages were illegal, but I didn't understand why they were illegal until Mike just explained it. I was like, oh, it's making sense now. The messages that I channel, actually seeing on the ground how they work, and the substantiation here in the earth
and
realm.
What's amazing too is when you start, you say these things, and it's like I get this information from documents and lecturers and people I know and reading contracts, and you're getting it from spiritual sources, right? Or from on high. And the fact that they align, it is just really cool, because that just shows you that we're on the right track. It shows us that we're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, no, it's interesting when you're asking where is the information going to come from. A visual I got back in 2019 was, and I think I mentioned to this once before, was that there would come a time when the media would have no choice but to tell the truth. Now, what I find really fascinating is I've started to really understand what the term future proofs past means, because I see it every freaking day in my life, because I get these messages so far ahead of when they actually physically manifest. So I've gotten messages about what's happening in the world right now 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, the message didn't make any sense. Now, when I look back at the messages I got 10 years ago, I go, oh, that explains what that meant 10 years ago. So in my life, future is proving past to me every day. It's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
So one of the messages I got in 2019 is that there would come a time when the media would have no choice but tell the truth. Now, when this message came in, I had no clue what that meant. I didn't know the media wasn't telling the truth. I was one of those people that thought CNN was telling the truth and NBC was telling. I didn't know that they weren't telling the truth. So the message didn't make any sense to me. But the visual that came with that message was literally these television stations. Now, I know because I'm on mainstream media fairly often in these little community shows, that these television stations, they get their scripts at 5 o'clock in the morning before they even come in, and they're just reading their teleprompters. They don't think about what they're getting. They just read the script that's given to them at every morning, and they just read it. And some of them do question it, but for the most part, they think they're telling the truth. And so the visual that I got back in 2019 was that it's like 3 men dressed in fatigues coming into television stations and at gunpoint making the people on camera say what's on their screens.
Wow.
They will have to tell the truth, whether they want to or not, because there's a script that's going across their screen and they have to read it, and they might just hate everything they're reading, but they're going to have to read it. And it might even be at gunpoint, but they will have to tell the truth, because the masses out there right now, if they really think if it's on Fox, it's not real news. They're like, oh, that's nice. That's just a tabloid TV. They don't realize all of their mainstream media is tabloid TV.
Yeah, or even if it is on Fox, it's CNN. That's all tabloid TV. The same thing.
Right.
And
they're all saying the same thing, but the truth is, all of it's tabloid TV right now.
Right.
They're
right.
just, It's just the Mockingbird media, as we call it, right?
Yeah, you go back to 9/11, right? And the whole big deal about the BBC reporter saying, "Oh, building number 7 has collapsed and it's standing up behind her," and people are like, "Oh, that means something." And I'm like, doesn't mean shit, okay? It doesn't, because all she is. Look, these people are empty suits. They sit there and they read the teleprompter. Somebody just got it wrong, because what they were saying was it was going to collapse, that they had moved everybody out of building number 7 because it was so badly damaged it was going to collapse. And somebody wrote the wrong thing on her teleprompter and she read it off. So it's like, you're right, Victoria. They don't understand how empty-headed these people are. And I won a contest way back in like 1990. Did the sports report at a local TV station. And yeah, that's exactly what you do. You just sit there and read the teleprompter, what's the Will Ferrell movie, Ron Burgundy? He'll read whatever you type on there. They're not very bright people.
Was that the movie about the news media? There was like
the news reporter, yeah.
Oh my God, that was one of the most hysterical movies ever. Did you see that movie?
Back when movies were allowed to be funny. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Victoria was just talking about 5 a.m. script, that they wake you up 5 o'clock in the morning and they give you script. I'm sure that my producer, Victoria, called you this morning and said, "Hey, check your email. Mel Carmine's producer here. I sent you the script." That you have to read. No, we fly by the seat of our pants. We just basically say, what's hot in the news right now? Let's talk about these 5-6 subjects, and we just ad lib, and that's how we do it. It's not scripted.
Yeah, Anchorman. Scott got it right. It's Anchorman, not Ron Burgundy.
There you go.
Yeah. Ron Burgundy.
So yeah, even when I am on those TV shows, I have to provide them in advance what my talking points are. It's not that it's completely scripted, but nothing is a surprise on those shows. They already know in advance what your talking points are. They already have, and it's in there. I sit down in my chair and my script is right there on the teleprompters.
Absolutely.
And they're just reading what I sent them.
So did anybody see the letter that got sent out from the Department of Education? I had it up and somehow I lost it, but it was like a 3 or 4 page letter basically sent out on Friday from the Department of Education that, if they don't want to lose any of their funding, it was a whole list of things that they had to adhere to now.
Yeah.
Anybody see that?
Yeah, get rid of DEI, all their DEI programs. And the thing is, what they're trying to do is be all clever and, we're just going to change the name. We're going to take diversity and equity and inclusion out of the name and call it something else. And they're catching them at that too. So, it's like the tendrils of Doge. It's more like Spectre, from the James Bond movies where they're in everything, we have people everywhere. So they're not getting away with it. And that's the great part about it, is that they're catching these people and they're shutting them down and laying them off. And it's, what's Polymarket has a Doge savings tracker, and somebody told me earlier today, like if you go to Polymarket, that it's up to 100 billion now that they've saved already in taxpayer money in 3 weeks. That's crazy. So yeah, that was a great letter, Elise. It was really great, just to see. This is stuff I never dreamed I'd actually see in my lifetime, and it's glorious.
Did you guys see Maxine Waters being hunted down on the streets of Washington, D.C., and ragtag army reporters like us with an iPhone and a microphone basically bombarding her, and she's like looking straight forward, not paying any attention, as if they're not even there, scared out of their minds, and yelling at the top. Usually the louder they yell, typically they are the most guilty, right? They have a $220,000 a year job. They've been there forever, and they have amassed, $148 million, $220 million, $78 million. How did you get all that money, dude? Does that have $2.3 trillion that's missing? Has that got to do with the $2.8 billion that's missing? Oh, I bet you it does. And we're about to uncover the whole freaking thing.
And don't forget the Q post. There will come a time when they will not be able to walk down the street.
Right.
Yep.
And here we are.
Well, what's interesting about the money is that they know how to use their foundations, the Clinton Foundation, the all the wealthiest people have foundations. One, it's basically legalized money laundering.
Mhm.
So that's where the money it gets funneled through all these foundations back and forth, and so it is going to take getting in there and seeing where the money went, and it went through this foundation and then to this country, and then it got funneled back into this foundation and then into this person's account. And because the foundations are set up so that the person who owns the foundation, say for example the Clinton Foundation, Hillary Clinton can't legally make money from that foundation because it's supposed to be a nonprofit, good for humanity foundation. It's all tax deductible, supposed to be right. But if it's structured properly, the money gets to her in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
So they just know how to play.
In Brooklyn, we call it a kickback.
With these foundations. Yeah.
In Brooklyn, we call it a kickback.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
But she's not getting paid for managing the foundation, but it still gets back to her.
Yeah. Well,
without having to pay taxes on it.
What did Chelsea Clinton say? She said, "Oh, I didn't get $80 million from USAID. It went to the Clinton Foundation."
Mm-hmm. Right. And the Clinton Foundation paid for her wedding.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So this guy, big balls, and they got plenty of big balls. It's not just one guy. There's 100 of them now. They're all 18, 19, 17, and they're really smart with computers. These are like hackers on fucking steroids, literally hacking into the shit. They're working with supercomputers. They're working with quantum computers, and they are destroying you guys. You guys don't stand a chance. Chuck Schumer, I can assure you, is not connected to people that know how to handle quantum computers, or Nancy Pelosi, or Maxine Waters, or any of them. And they are shitting in their pants. Okay?
Well, if they're still around, if it's still them, they have a whole
belief system. Talking about this morning, said, well, we understand the movie, but they're not going to stop and explain the movie to the normies. Say, listen, Maxine Waters has been dead for 5 years. The one that's walking the streets, she's programmed to act a certain way. When you approach her, she's not supposed to say nothing to the ragtag, reporter, because she's programmed to play that part in the movie so that you don't ask any questions, because we don't have time for your nonsense and your stupidity.
Well, the thing is, do you guys think these are, I hear the body doubles thing, and in most cases, except for maybe Hillary, they look like the same person to me. It's like they're exactly.
Have you seen the CIA masks? I mean, they were so advanced back in the 90s. And we've seen what Hollywood does, I mean, supposedly the idea was there were 50,000 actors, what makes a good movie, great actors. So I just don't believe, this is my own opinion, I don't believe that people there's a difference between corruption and crimes against humanity. And when we think about what some of these people have done to the children, what they have done, what we know has gone on, I just can't imagine for any reason that they would have let these people continue to walk the streets.
But then how do you explain, Joe Biden? Joe Biden 2019 is obviously not the same Joe Biden 2017. And a lot of people say he was executed in 2019. That one, it's clearly not the same guy. It's clearly not the same guy from 5 years ago, 8 years ago.
I think that was for disclosure, Mike. I think they wanted people to start questioning and realize it doesn't look the same.
Because this guy
tell people? Yeah, because I'm just saying, excuse me, but they what are you going to say? Like Julian Assange said, when all is said and done, 98% of Congress is going to be gone. You can't, it's cognitive dissonance. You can't just come and tell people, all these people, in Hollywood, all these people, they're taken out. They can't put their arms around, especially if you're not awake. So that's why we have this movie. But my feeling is, with what a lot of these people did, when you look at things like with the Clinton Foundation and the people involved in that, what they were doing, and with Haiti and the children and all the other people, I mean, I don't know, like all of these people in Congress, so many of them are tied to awful crimes against children. I can't imagine that they're going to say, let's just wait, we'll let them go home, I don't think so. I think it was a massive campaign. There's masks, there's clones, there's all kinds of technologies that I believe it's part of the movie. And maybe some are really the people. I don't know. Maybe they made deals but I just am of the belief that, and listen, if these people were really around in many ways, if you think about it, think about every single thing that Trump has done or said over the last 4 years. Office. Remember in the olden days, on the news talk, like we have that same energy of people coming to the forefront. Like I remember talking here in New York, I'm like, where is everyone? You know, where are they? They're usually big mouths and they're saying things and you didn't see them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's switch gears, guys, if you don't mind. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to try to share my screen. Let's see if I can do this successfully. I'm going to try. I think this is the one. Yeah, here we go. I want to play for you my good friend Christopher Key, who is known as the Vax Police, okay? And he's coming to the Quantum Summit as of this morning. It's been confirmed. You guys must have gotten a little memo in your email. Let me know if you can see the video, and we're going to watch this. I'm going to try to cue it up here.
Christopher Key here live in Malibu, California. I want you to please help me comprehend this, how this home is completely burned to the ground, and I got green grass right here. Can somebody please help me understand that? I'm not a real smart man. I'm not. But look at this. This grass just not burned? I mean, is this like fire retardant grass that burned the house? It's completely gone. Completely gone. The house is completely gone. And then over here, if you look back, the houses across the way have blue roofs. And they're not burned up. So this isn't a conspiracy, guys. This is, I repeat, this is a directed energy weapon is what this is, okay? Plain and simple. This was not an act of God in any form of the fashion. This was an act of war by the United States government on the people here in Malibu, California. Look at them right there. Roof, perfectly fine.
How do you answer this? I mean, look, you got one building completely burnt down. You saw the grass, it's completely green. Let me stop sharing, right? The grass is completely green, like untouched, like nothing happened. Like somebody actually just watered that grass and put some nutrients in there. It's so damn green. But yeah, you got right smack next door within an inch, okay? Completely burnt down to ashes. A house on the other side burnt down, and this one house is completely intact, and the grass is fine. What's going on here? Maybe I don't understand either. Maybe I'm as smart as Christopher Key.
Well, I'm not a fire expert. I'm not a fireman, but there are a couple things that I do know and have read about this. First of all, I don't know if that's real grass or if it's artificial turf. It could be artificial turf, in which case it might be a lot more fire resistant. The other thing is in high wind situations like that, the fire is going to be up high. It's going to spread, from a house to the trees to the house. The burning embers are going to get blown. I mean, they were talking about winds almost 100 miles an hour. So it might just skip right over and can catch the next house on fire. That's possible. And also, this is a very small area. I would like to see a much wider study, space by space, of that. If we had so there's one situation like that. And if there's 100 situations like that out of 1,000 houses that burn down, I'm going to say, okay, weird, right? But one situation like that could be coincidence, could be the way the wind blew, could be a lot of different factors, could be the hills and the coverage, although it looked like it was on top of the hill there. So I don't know. I tend to think that this was not natural. We know that because we have videos of arsonists starting these fires, and the area was deliberately left as a dried up tinderbox. They cut off the water. They, wouldn't allow you to. They wouldn't allow you to water your lawns, and all that stuff. And they didn't clean the underbrush. So this was planned, absolutely. But I think for me, I don't know, that there's kind of a leap between somebody just started a fire, which is the easiest thing in the world to do in that area under high winds, as opposed to they used lasers or particle beams to blow people's houses up. Show me the beam coming out of the sky or something.
But it's not that isolated, because there are a lot of instances that we've seen. If if you're on Telegram, you see a lot of these instances. There's such precision. Now, I went to school in the Bronx. I went to college in the Bronx, and I can tell you in the 80s, when the arsonists started fires, it wasn't precision, and there was no winds, and everything burned. I mean, everything in its wake burned. So you didn't have like a patch over here that was spared, I mean, you could just look at this and notice that it's very precision. And the only things that could really do that we know of, are these direct energy weapons that can pinpoint in such a way. So I don't think it's, this is one instance that Mel found with the video that he put up, but we have a lot of those instances all around where you're like one area, and then, the heat was so high, cars aren't touched, but, trees are still left intact and grass is okay. So I'm sort of thinking there's more to it. Like I said, when fires start, they go rampant.
Great point, Elisa. How can a car that is 8 feet away, completely unscathed, and 8 feet away, there's a car that's been completely incinerated down to nothing? How is that possible?
Yeah.
Right? So this explains the grass. Even if the grass was artificial turf, in that intense heat, you're talking probably heat of over 1,000 degrees. I don't give a shit if it's freaking the best fireproof grass in the world, artificial turf. It's going to curl up. It's going to look a little bit different.
It should be a little bit melted if the fire got to it. But like I said, I think in these circumstances, fire tends to be high. It tends to spread up higher when there's high winds like that. So you know that. I mean, that's the only thing. But I don't know. I'd really like to see some.
Sure, but there are videos of the laser beams, by the way. I'll share.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Victoria, I want you to chime in specifically because you are from that region. You are from California.
Well, I'm actually not from California. I'm from Montana.
Nobody's from California.
Okay.
Nobody's from California, actually.
Canada.
But I did live there for 30 years. So, and I do have friends that lost their homes in this fire. Two things. One, I saw a video this morning of a particular movie star's home that was completely demolished, and everything around her home was still green. Like everything was still green. And the house next door, was completely untouched. Now, I grew up in Montana where forest fires we actually have what I call forest fire season. Every August is forest fire season. We had to deal with the forest fires every season. We gathered up all the branches and everything every year to make sure the fires didn't get out of control. Back in 2020, literally the entire mountainside went up. The community I grew up in was saved by literally a couple of feet because the fire line went around the community, and it burned into my sister's backyard, to give you an idea how close it came to the community. It does burn the grass and the trees and the bushes and the wildflowers. And pine trees are so explosive, a pine tree will actually explode and send embers everywhere. In Southern California, the palm branches catch fire, and the wind will take a palm branch and will carry it hundreds of feet. So, and palm branches are incredibly heavy. You don't want, if one lands on your car, it's going to put a nice dent on your car, to give you an idea. They're really heavy, but the wind will catch one and carry it. So there is that. There where a palm branch could actually catch fire more than the trunk itself. If a branch catches fire, and there's always dead palm branches at the top, it's almost impossible. You have to trim them like twice a year for there not to be dead branches at the top. But the wind, if fire catches them, can carry it hundreds of feet. Mm-hmm. So there's that. The other thing that's concerning for me is that in all of my years I lived in Southern California, Santa Ana winds do not happen in January, and they do not get up to 100 miles an hour. In all of my years living there, I have never seen them get that, maybe up to 40 on a really, really windy time, and they don't happen in January. They happen in September and October. It's my favorite time of year. That's why I always paid attention, because it's the only time it gets nice and toasty there. then it gets into, at the beach, it gets into like the 80s. So it's the best time of year. Otherwise, it's too freaking cold at the beach.
Yep.
So the circumstances behind that I find really interesting. That why was there 100-mile-an-hour wind that came from out of nowhere? It doesn't happen in January. I've never seen it in my 30 years of living there. It doesn't happen.
Correct.
That's my biggest concern.
Well, let's go to the next video because I know we're on a time constraint. We're going to be 2 more videos we're going to comment on, and then we'll see you next week. There'll be another forecast, and for you guys to have the tickets to get to the Quantum Summit, we'll see you at the Quantum Summit, March 8th and 9th. Oh,
why don't we do like a half price giveaway on this show for some Quantum Summit too?
Maybe we could do like a raffle, but that
a raffle.
Yeah, maybe we could do. We could kick it around and let's see. Here.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, you're good. You're good. Let me share my screen here. Tell me if you guys can see my screen. And Ember's probably listening. Goes, yeah. Thank you for giving our money away there, Mike. No, make money on this thing anyway. If we lose another couple $100, it ain't no big deal. Anyway, here we go. Check this one out.
Away the most, got almost 100,000 views on it because people they're joining me and saying, what? Federal law allows for weather modification experiments involving the use of human subjects for the testing of chemical and biological agents and open testing of chemical and biological agents. How outrageous is that? There's no consent. There's no consent when you can't escape, when you can't sequester yourself from it. Let me read this again. U.S. federal law allows for weather modification experiments for the testing, open air testing of chemical and biological agents. Didn't they tell us that we were tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists? That we were imagining chemtrails, that they were really moisture in the air? And then I've had people argue with me in the last 24 hours on my social media saying, oh, they're contrails. Oh, you're just pushing, you're a grifter. You're pushing, that narrative. I'm showing you federal law, you numbnuts. I'm showing you the federal law. Good Lord. Telling you. And by the way, here's another good one. In another post, because I think this is important for you to see, the U.S. government has given itself permission, along with the approval of Congress, the 535 cockroaches up on Capitol Hill, to poison you with biological agents. And the U.S. code goes on to specify what is a biological agent. It's any microorganism, including bacteria, viruses, fungi, rickettsia, or protozoa, pathogens, or infectious substance, any infectious substance, like the ones they make in the lab, and any naturally occurring bioengineered or synthesized component of any microorganism that is capable of causing death, disease, and other biological malfunction. It's not a conspiracy theory. They've got themselves covered. And they've given themselves the permission to experiment on us like we're ants, insects on the ground. Why the country is not in an uproar is probably the biggest mystery of all. Oh, I'm thinking about Billy's soccer game on set. You're being poisoned. And you're being poisoned legally.
I don't know what to make of that one, guys. I'm going to give the floor to whoever wants to go first. It's wild shit, nevertheless.
Okay. Well, look, every morning about 8:00, 8:30, I take Barkley for a walk, my dog, here in Vegas. And literally every morning, if it's sunny, which it is 90% of the time, we had one day of rain in the last year or so, it seems like, right? I get up and, I'm walking around and I look up and the sun is at a certain level in the sky and there's chemtrails and clouds. And people, there are meteorologists. Oh, those are contrails. Well, I'm an aerospace engineer. I know something about contrails. They only last for a few hundred feet behind the airplane, and then they evaporate because they're moisture is what they are. And it's also fascinating that in the mornings, the chemtrails are always crisscrossing and forming clouds right where the sun is at that time in the morning. And then as the sun moves through the sky during the day, the crisscrossing patterns in the clouds seem to follow the sun around. So there's no question this is actually happening. And I remember 2015 or so, I was living in Seattle. My brother and I went to Vancouver, BC for a U2 concert or something, right? And we get across the border and we're driving and we're 20, 30 miles inside of Canada. And I look back out the window and there's crisscross, tic-tac-toe hatching stops right at the US-Canada border. Now, isn't it amazing that airplanes create these contrails that last forever and form clouds, but they seem to know to stop right at the Canadian border? I'm fascinated by that. Having said that, I have a paper somewhere on my hard drive that Dr. Edward Teller, the father of the H-bomb, wrote in 1997, I believe, where he proposed putting cloud seeding equipment onto commercial jetliners to reflect back 1% of the sunlight to defeat global warming. Now, we all know, of course, now the global warming is bullshit. It never existed. It's not happening. Greenhouse effect is nonsense. But I think that this had a benevolent intention when it started. I really do. Based on that paper, if that's really, I think what happened at first and why people got sick is because they were doing it at altitudes that were too low. And people talked about these cobweb type things that landed on them and then they got sick. Well, of course you're going to get sick if it's barium and all the different stuff they use in cloud seeding. And then I think they got smarter and started doing it at higher levels. But it is way past time for them to A, stop this, and B, tell us the truth about how they've been doing it and why they've been doing it. Because again, anybody who knows anything about planes and contrails and all that stuff knows that this is a bunch of baloney. And there's also people that say, well, now, since Trump, they're still doing it, but they're putting HCQ and ivermectin into it to try to heal everybody. I don't know if that's true or not. I just wanted to stop because we got along just fine on this planet, for the first 40 years of my life or so without any of this crap in the sky.
So I have something to say about that. I have traveled a lot the last 3 years. As you guys know, I'm almost never, I finally landed somewhere and I'm not going anywhere for a while. But when I fly, I try to always have a window seat. I've always loved sitting to the window and sticking my face against the window and seeing what the world looks like below me. I'm kind of nerdy that way. But what I noticed when I've been flying lately, not lately, for a long time I didn't fly because I was raising kids and I was busy with the kids. But the last 3 years of flying, the air is very, very, very different from what it was 30 years ago when I would travel, because I would always look out the window and I could see the horizon and the clear blue sky and all that. That does not exist anymore. It doesn't matter where I'm flying, the time of year I'm flying, you cannot see the horizon. There is a layer of thick grayish brown crud that covers the entire planet. Even over the middle of the Pacific Ocean, there's a layer of brownish gray crud that covers everything. You can't actually see the horizon. But one thing that's really, really interesting, the last time I flew, and I took photos of it because I found this so fascinating. Now, I grew up in Montana, and I know how to grow a farm. I planted and grew every summer a garden, so I know what a garden looks like. And as I'm flying over and I look down at all the clouds, it looked exactly like a planted field. Rows and rows and rows of clouds that looked like it looked just like a field that had been planted. It's the trickiest thing. And I can tell you that is not natural. I used to fly and there were these big, huge, fluffy clouds that looked like cotton balls, you want to jump on But these are rows and rows and rows of perfectly formed clouds. It looked just like a seeded field. The trippiest thing. And that, I was like, there's nothing natural about that. So somebody's up to something, and I saw that evidence with my own eyes. And I can send you the photos. It's just wild to look at that.
Elisa, chime in.
Don't see it. But one of the reasons people don't see it is now when you get on an airplane, the first thing they do is tell you to close your windows.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't see what's really going on inside.
Chime in, and then I'll chime in last, and I'm going to give you my thinking on the whole thing.
Yeah. So being up here in New York, what I can say is that I've noticed more clear skies. Like I actually noticed maybe 6 to 8 months ago that all of a sudden the skies were clear. You would look up and they would be really clear. I was like, wow, the time I saw such blue skies, clear. Also noticed last year going back for
your internet is really bad, Elisa.
Yeah, I think we've lost her.
Are we looking to lose her? She'll have to come back in. Elisa,
Been,
your internet is really, really bad.
Yeah,
it's been choppy.
Yeah, it's been rough over there in New York.
Now you're there. Now she's back. Now she's back.
Am I back? Yeah. So all I was saying, I don't know what's going on because I continue to hear you guys. What I was saying though is that I know it's a positive note over the last year. We're actually looking at.
Oh, now it's happening again.
Terrible. Yeah, it's terrible. Let me chime in, and then we'll come back to you if we have to. If not, we'll have to figure out maybe just close all your windows when we do a show next time, and just have only the StreamYard up. Anyway, about a few weeks ago, everybody was calling me. Say, Mel, you're not going to believe this. There's no chemtrails in the sky. And I wasn't even paying attention. And normally I pay attention to the sky all the time for the last 37 years. That's all, right? And I'm looking out. I'm saying, holy shit, 8 days in a row, we had no chemtrails. All of a sudden, Ian Farrar called me. He said, Mel, we got chemtrails again this morning. And yesterday, I went to the Radisson because we had to do something about the Quantum Summit. I had to give them not the final list, but one of the lists. And we're going to be doing this for the next few days, going to until the Quantum Summit is no more. And on one side, it was sprayed, and on the other side was clear blue skies. So something's happening. RFK said it clearly. We're going to stop this nonsense. We're going to stop the chemtrails, and I believe they will. Okay? Look, not to get off track, not to get off subject. This guy, Big Balls, Trump, you better get this guy like a gold-plated freaking passport, make an American citizen. This guy. They should make a statue of Big Balls in every freaking state. Like the main capital of every state, Big Balls. Right? Hey, I went to go visit Big Balls. I think I would love to do that. But anyway, I'm gonna play this other video, and then we'll come back to you, Victoria. Your internet's not the best because I can see that your video's a little bit fuzzy. I apologize for this, but anyway, screen share. Here we go. We're gonna go here. Okay, that's the one, and we're going to share, and we're going to play. Now, this is my favorite guy that's new on Horizon. This guy popped out of nowhere. I used to call him the guy in the garage. Maybe I got to him, and he's not doing garage anymore, so he's doing videos as he's walking through this area that looks pretty damn cold based on the way he's dressed. And I could tell you that this guy just hits all the buttons with a lot of American people, including myself. So whoever you are, dude, Mel Carmine is personally inviting you to the Quantum Summit. Please come on stage and tell the people who you are. How the hell did you get started doing this? Why didn't you start 10 years ago? I asked myself that same very question. But here we go. Let's play this.
The deep state, full panic mode. Google searches in D.C. Top hits, criminal defense lawyer, and Cayman offshore bank accounts and accounts. They're trying to hide their money, and they're trying to find lawyers because they know this game is up. The amount of houses for sale in DC, ungodly. It's like half the towns for sale. They are all on the run. when reality sinks in for them and they know they're not getting away or buying their way out of this is going to be a beautiful day. RFK just posted a picture of all the chemtrails in the sky, and he goes, they're spraying us with chemicals, and I'm going to put an end to it. People, this is the revolution. RFK is going to do the most damage to the corruption. He's made statements that they intend to ban pharmaceutical companies from advertising on TV. There's the end of the legacy media, because that's who's paying for all that shit. And like in these confirmation hearings, they kept asking him, you're gonna ban all vaccines? He's like, I have no intention of banning vaccines. He goes, I just want all the real data out there. Because once the real data's out there, all the vaccines and probably, I don't know, 75% of the pharmaceuticals are going to get pulled from the market because their side effects are so horrendous. You want to see the fucking autism rate drop like a rock? That's when the vaccines end. They're not even vaccines, dude. This has been a pharmaceutical scam from the word go. You listen to RFK, he knows the ins, the outs, the ups, the downs. He knows where the bodies are buried. He knows who buried them. I can't even understand. I don't know what they did to get the Republicans to vote for this, like all these nominations, because if you're thinking that the Democrats are the guilty ones, no, dude, this isn't left or right. All these Republican Congress and senators, they're all just as guilty as the people on the left. Nancy Pelosi's not the most wealthy person in all of the government. She's not the most wealthy elected official. Like the top 10 is actually all Republicans, and they blow Nancy out of the fucking water. Elon is out there posting politicians' net worth, their salary, and how long they have been in office. And a Trump official was on Fox News today, and they said they're all going to investigate all of them. Trump said that these are all kickback schemes. People, prepare yourselves, because the epic party that is going to begin when the accountability starts, I don't even know. I'm so excited. I don't know what can stop this at this point. I don't think anything can stop this, because Trump has cut them off at the legs. The deep state has been neutered. Their money's cut off. All their fucking string pullers have been basically banned from every federal building. They've had their security clearances pulled. People, these are beautiful days. Enjoy the last weeks, month under the corruption of the deep state and these sick pedophile fucks, because accountability is coming. Doge just went into CPS, and we all know what CPS has been doing. Stealing people's kids and selling them. That's what CPS does. Welcome to reality, everyone. You're about to learn some shit. And this is an evil, evil, dirty world, and it's about to get cleaned up with a fucking flamethrower, and I am excited. Good luck to you all. Long live this beautiful republic.
You gotta love the music choices that he has on all of his videos. You gotta love his natural ability to just say it the way it is, no holes barred. You gotta love the facial expressions, the glasses, all of it. I mean, I have a bromance with this dude. I have no idea who the hell he is, but dude, whoever you are, you need to be part of the Quantum Summit. Period. Quantum Summit 1776.com. Whoever you are, dude, you need to be on stage at the Quantum Summit. Period. You belong with us, we the people, and we would love to have you there. If you want to get in touch with us, in case somebody can get the video out to you, there's hundreds of people, not thousands of people with you guys on your shows streaming live as well. Very simple. Staying alive, staying with an ING, staying alive. Alive is spelled with 2 E's at the end.com. Contact my staff via telephone. They answer the phone 12 hours a day, and they will put you in touch with Mel Carmine. Would love to have you there. Thank you. What did you think of this guy? I mean, I know you guys know who he is because we share him a lot. Okay, and I like the guy a lot. Do you like the guy, Victoria? Do you like him?
You know, it's funny. I'm watching him, and I can see why you like him so much, because he's mouthy like you.
You think?
Yeah. You know,
he certainly says it the way it is.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that he uses some terminology. I don't necessarily use the the F-bombs and things. But one of the things he said about how they're on their last leg, one of the visuals I was given a few years back, again, because I get my downloads, was that these people would play, they were giving the opportunity to play every card they've got. So when people ask why it's taken so long for all this to happen, it's because they're being allowed to play every card they have, so that when the game folds and they show their hand, it's like I don't really know poker, but I was seeing this table and they're playing their cards, and when they play that final hand, they all have blood on their hands, right?
Yeah.
The evidence is the blood on their hands. And the other term that I heard was that they were being allowed to play every game they've got until they have no leg to stand on. And what's interesting is that what he was saying is they're on their last leg, and this is it, game over. And then you'll start to see them all start to turn on each other. That's what I think we'll see next, is all of them, now their hands are being shown and they no longer have legs to stand on. Oh, it's funny, I'm actually seeing the table legs being pulled out from underneath them. That's really interesting. Is that they'll all start attacking each other. We don't actually have to do a thing. They will all start attacking each other.
Yep.
That's when mainstream media gets involved, and they all just go on this massive dogfight, trying to one up each other and bring each other down so one can stay on top. It's like the game of doggy pile. I don't know if you ever played that when you were kids, but that's one of the visuals I was shown, is that they're going to start trying to one up each other to save their own skin, and they just take themselves down. It's going to be really, really interesting to watch.
Do you think
That's
they'll be
where I
throwing
think
each
we are
other
right now.
underneath the bus? Is that what you're trying to say, Victoria? Tell us.
Throw each other on the bus to save their own skin? Absolutely. Yep.
I love it.
That'll be fun. That'll be a fun thing to watch when that goes down.
Absolutely. So let's go through the speaker list. We got Sean Taylor, absolutely confirmed. Senator Mark Fincham, Leo Biasucci, House Representative in Arizona, who are all pro crypto. There she dropped. I figured she was going to drop. She's got really bad internet today. We have confirmed Jason Shirka from the Light System coming to town. We have Tom Altman, Althouse, the guy who wrote the movie The Matrix. Everybody's going to get this like money that is being used by over 2 million people, that's backed up by gold, that is going to come to the summit as a guest. Doesn't matter whether you have the general admission or the VIP ticket. Everybody's getting one. This gentleman by the name of Jeremy, he's the CEO of Goldback. Kerry Cassidy will be there. My good friend Louis Herms will be there from screwbiggov.com. Okay. Laura Eisenhower, Rob Cunningham from The Cool Show on x.com. Go check him out. Cool is spelled Kuwl. Okay. And also we have General Tata, 3-star general, will be in attendance. We will have my good friend Jim Gale from foodforestabundance.com. If you want to learn how to grow food and never be poisoned, that's the guy you want to listen to. And that he was epic last year, and he's going to be equally as epic. As a matter of fact, our podcast that we did in face to face is going to be released here most likely tomorrow. We have people working with RFK behind the scenes and taking the metals out of the dirt and putting the trace minerals back in, cleaning up the air, cleaning up the dirt. I've said that in my first video when we did the Quantum Summit, and I've said that years before that, and here we are. They're talking about the things that we've been predicting all along that they're going to happen, and they're going to come to pass. The great Digital Outlook, Dave Digital Outlook will be there. Versan from Black Swan Capitalist will definitely be there. We're working on wrestling Vandell. Hopefully he'll be there. Great Michael Jaco, thank you for all your support, dude. You're awesome. We appreciate you immensely. He's had me on the show like 4 times already. Patrick Riley, Ishmael Perez, Jeff, co-founder from onthechain.io will be there. Also Chip from onthechain.io. My good friend Ron Partain from Untold History will be there. I mean, we have the who's who, and then we got you guys. Obviously, you guys are on there, and we have the great Dave Sandoval, CEO of Purium, wrote an amazing book called "The Toxin That Came Home to Dinner." One of the most amazing books you'll ever read. So we have the most incredible lineup cast, and now we're adding potentially Sasha Stone. That's not yet exactly 100%, but we're like 85, 90% there. I got to talk to the great Dr. Jan Helper Hayes, who will also be in attendance. She's amazing. And also, before I forget, Christopher Key. Okay, Christopher Key. He is known also as the vaccine police. He will be in attendance. He will be on stage, and he's a hoot. You definitely don't want to miss Christopher. He's a bundle of energy. So I don't think Victoria is coming back. Not Victoria, rather, Elisa.
Elisa, yeah. I think we lost her.
Oh well, yeah, she has really bad internet today, huh?
So the foursome is now a threesome. So that's just the way.
I love his sexual.
I keep calling it the foursome when in fact it's the forecast, and I I keep getting it wrong.
Yeah. So, and Sean Taylor, he's one of the biggest whistleblowers of our time. As a matter of fact, Elisa just sent me a message saying, okay, in the studio. Okay, she's in the studio. Let me see. Let me drag her back in. And how do I do that? Here we go. Add. There we go. There you go.
I was in the studio through your whole, like I got on like in 2 seconds, but I knew you didn't see the message. So sorry, guys.
We had the whole screen blown up and it doesn't show you. This thing is not as intuitive as I would like it to be. But Sean Taylor is going to be there. Sean Taylor has a story to tell. My God, we would have to add an entire day to the event for him to tell the story. And it's an epic one. And he's literally fearing for his life. He's got dogs. He's got guns. He's got to take care of himself because the deep state wants to rub him out. Okay, because he's got a story to tell about CEOs and your government and corrupt sheriff's departments and corrupt police departments and corrupt state police departments, all of them, protecting the transportation of the little ones. Okay, for exploitation, because it has become a bigger business supposedly than drugs, alcohol, and anything else you want to throw at it. And it's got to be stopped. And so this guy's got a pair of cojones, risking his life, his family's life, his wife's life, okay, to come out. He's in an undisclosed location. We're going to have security at our place. We have to have security at our place because he is a big figure. He's going to be on stage 17 minutes by himself to give you a snapshot. And then I'm going to put him on stage with Senator Fincham, who has interviewed him many times, and most likely also Leo Biasucci. Both of those politicians, by the way, are extremely pro-crypto. And yes, in case you're wondering, yes, they own XRP, the one. Okay? Guys, any closing statements?
No, just really great conversation. And, things are happening so fast. And I think the two things now is we crack open the egg of the IRS and the gold in Fort Knox. I just think when that stuff starts to come out, that's when we just start this huge snowball rolling. And, I'm hearing some interesting things about gold. And if we opened Fort Knox and there was 1 billion tons of gold in there, it would actually make those rumors make more sense than if it was empty. So I'm really curious what we're going to get to here.
I bet you there's no gold in Fort Knox. I bet you just like they raped the Treasury, just like they raped us through the IRS and all these agencies. I bet you there's maybe 2 bars. Maybe there's like 2 here. There are 2 silver coins left.
Yeah.
That's it.
I can see it being like Geraldo Rivera's Al Capone's vault, where there's a couple of gold coins and bars in the corner somewhere, and the rest of it's just empty with paper everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm just going to tell you, I'm hearing some really interesting things about gold over the next 2 weeks. So before the State of the Union, so let's keep our shoes, feet to the ground and your boots strapped on and get ready to go.
And you guys are coming a couple of days early. I know Elisa's coming a couple of days early.
I'm coming. Yeah, Friday. I'm coming Friday. I'll be there.
So I'm going to charge you in the system as well.
Okay.
We're going to put you in our EE system, and and let the cellular structure of your body thank you for doing that, because you're going to feel like Jello in the morning. Elisa's going to be in there for 2 days, so if she's at the Quantum Summit and she's glowing in the dark, you'll know why.
All
Okay.
right.
And so will Victoria. Victoria, are you joining us?
I'm not quite sure. It depends on my automobile situation.
Okay. We might have to send the helicopter for you.
I'm driving with a friend, and so a lot of that depends on her.
Okay,
and the Airbnb that I've rented. I'm actually sharing an Airbnb with Heather Holmes. So, but there's one other friend. Yeah, I actually don't have a car right now. My car is
interesting.
parked
Do you know
in
that you
front of
can
my
take a train
ex-husband's
up
house.
for like $60?
From
There's a
Fort
train.
Lauderdale.
Yeah.
I don't think it comes all the way from Fort Lauderdale up to Canaveral.
It doesn't? It goes all the way to Miami, so it's got to pass Fort Lauderdale to get to Miami.
But I don't think it goes that far north. Wait, where's Cape Canaveral? I have to look at the map. I don't know my way around Florida yet.
The last stop is Orlando, right? But Cape Canaveral
it-
comes before Orlando. So, but it does like 128 miles an hour, so it's pretty fast.
Okay, I'll take a look and see. But I'm actually driving with a friend, and I don't know when she can leave.
So, who is that friend, Heather? Because I know Heather.
No.
Oh, okay.
Heather's coming from Philadelphia.
She's driving.
She's flying down.
Okay.
And I'm meeting her in Cape Canaveral.
Yeah, she's got the most amazing, products to clean your kitchen and your house with. Completely organic. You could drink the stuff. It's all probiotic stuff. It's all, super organic. That's what we use, by the way, at the center. We don't use Formula 409 or Fantastic or none of that. None of those poisons. They don't exist there. So, yeah, very cool, guys. I had a great time. I think this was equally as good as the last one, and I think we're going to get better as we go. So can't wait to see you guys next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's called a Fourcast, and you know why? Because there's 4 of us. We'll catch you on the next one, guys.
There's 4.
See you next
4.
time. 4.
Oh.
Thank you. How do I end the damn show now? Just end the show.
Stop broadcast.
It says end the screen. End the stream. There we go. Bingo.